Good afternoon or good evening. Just gone past 5 o'clock here in London in what has been a day heavily linked to Brexit talk and negative sentiment, which has weighed on the pound. And you can see here cable sitting pretty much near the low, 138 as of speaking. And if we have a look elsewhere for the pound, let's have a quick look at the pound against the yen, also near the low, just off the low in fact. Pound against Aussie dollar near the low. Pound, well, let's just have a look at New Zealand dollar for the sake of it, near the low as well, hitting that S1 to the tick there really. So the sentiment still negative. The Europeans and the Brits still poles apart in terms of the big issues, and that really has sort of weighed pretty much all week. And you can see from where we were Monday, I'm just going to circle the high from Monday that we made early on to where we are now. Pretty big move actually to the downside. Those highs to the low we made today, yeah, just over 2%, and still sitting near the low now. Move really sort of started this morning, having broken through the lower points yesterday's low as well. And if we lower the time frame down, offered a pretty good opportunity on the pullback. So you see that second line I've got marked up here. Breakthrough, come back, retest for the classic, and since then you've had a couple of other opportunities. Not long ago actually, just before 5, what was the previous low, acting then as resistance on the pullback there. Seems that the sentiment for the week will look to continue to the downside across all pairs. If you were to have a look at euro pound, it would be on the high, but weekly candle, just going to remove all the pivots to clear things up. You can see in terms of weekly analysis, just getting below the week of the 5th of Feb. Key support below, however, back in September we've got topped out around here. Week of the 18th of September, one that I'll be focusing on going through. In terms of data releases today, not too much other than the oil, which we'll come on to. Had some lower tier European stuff out of France and Germany, which was mixed, better than expected. But yeah, nothing really to drive the market too much. Core CPI year on year in line, and then the US data into the afternoon, as you see here for the GDP figures, pretty much, well, it was in line, other than the GDP price index, which was slightly worse. Market didn't really move. Chicago PMI slightly worse, bottom of the range, but not big enough data to see a really big reaction. Oil release came in. Let's just go straight to the chart. No prizes for guessing whether it was a build or draw. The bigger build than expected. We saw a price push down from the 130, having actually before the release pushed higher to nearly $63.5. But yeah, since 330 pushed to the downside, almost finding support on what was the previous low. And if I just make this chart a bit smaller, you can see some of the key areas of support that we did break through. More notably here, you got the low of the 23rd, which actually did offer an opportunity for a classic short. You see, once we had broke through, came back, really nice trading opportunity. The high of the 22nd before we broke through to the upside as well was the initial support before we broke through, and S2 working very well to sort of cap the downside. For anyone still sticking about, I would still be keeping an eye on 62.53, and just in case these points in the market as well. But yeah, bigger than expected build there, bigger the build than the API suggested last night as well. Seeing oil move significantly to the downside. Gasoline, mirror sort of image there, breaking through S1 and S2 quite convincingly, and to levels not seen since well, not too long ago, but yeah, 22nd of February there. Have since recovered a tiny bit. So that was the main data release from today that saw sort of price action movement, and as far as oil goes, was actually one of the easier releases to trade. Usually can be quite a tricky one to focus on. Elsewhere, currency wise, so euro still within this sort of trend that we mentioned in the morning. Need to get the trend line on. You can see those highs pretty well respected, and even the lows as well. S1 working well as an area of support, which has been quite a range bound day for euro dollar. They're still obviously to the downside, but half decent opportunity really that caught my eye was going off the previous resistance level, which did work its way down to test that new low. In terms of where we are in the grand scheme of things, we talked about it this morning in terms of key levels. We had broken through, let me just mark that up, the low of the 9th, but just testing here, albeit a bit of a break with the S1, the key area from the 17th. Breakthrough there, and then it does open the door really to 121, well mid 121, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on going into the end of the week. Aussie dollar, a bit mixed, up, down, quite choppy now. The trade of the day though for Aussie dollar, you can see, we talked about it a couple of times in the chat, we broke through the high only to then go and find resistance, which really sort of kicked the move off yesterday as it was a level of support. As you see, push through, come back down there as well. The dollar yen, and just before we go on to the dollar yen, the dollar index still up. I mean, it was about 10 minutes ago up about 0.2, now just 0.13 as of speaking. The yen caught a bit of a bid as the sort of the risk move. Equities, which we'll come on to in a bit, had pushed towards their lower levels in the day, and they're not still, are still not far off that. Dollar yen pushing through its low, and also what was the lower end of yesterday's afternoon, late morning, broke through yesterday's low as well, and then now sort of drifting down. I think the next key area, well, I guess we did test that, the low of the 26th, 830. S2, if we were to get there, would expect a good area of support, as you can see previously on the 26th there at 7 AM. The buyers really did come into the play there. So yeah, dollar yen under a bit of pressure as equities, you can see here, push lower. S&P finding good support on that first test of the low of the day following the cash open. Really this move started to develop. Pivot was tested and broken on the cash open before coming back down. Dow Jones similar in the fact that we had a decent support area. Let me just mark that up. The low of the week of Monday, I mean pretty much to the tick as far as the Dow goes, a bit more liquid than the others. That's a pretty good test of the level. Nasdaq followed the others, similar to the S&P in that sense of hitting the previous low of the day, and you can see how good this support level was. Again, low of the week, so similar to Dow in that respect, and the bounce has been pretty strong. I think it's been very much a day where there has been opportunities, but you've had to be patient. Sometimes when the market is like this, it is better to sort of sit and wait and just not get involved in the market where, you know, it's choppy, and you know, it comes with experience, absolutely, in terms of waiting for the outer areas of the range or levels to break, and then having even with the patience when they have broken, to have the patience to wait for it to come back a bit as well. Gold, just to sort of wrap the markets up in terms of technical, you can see the pivot held quite well, just around sort of 2 o'clock, but since then it has been range bound as well. Another market where the low of the day has been a double bottom. Worth keeping an eye on though, I guess, going forward, to see if either that low or the pivot with the low of the 22nd can hold as well going forward. Just going to bring up the calendar for tomorrow, but I think the main sort of focus definitely is going to be on let me just bring that into picture here. It's still going to be Brexit related stuff. I mean, it's what's really moved the market today. You've seen all the pound related charts as well be on their lows, or euro pound on their highs. Got a bit of data out tomorrow, so something just to bear in mind. Bit of European data out in the morning with UK stuff as well, and what could be quite probably the most data heavy day so far of the week. A bit of manufacturing PMI data as well, but as mentioned, for the UK, Brexit related talks are going to be probably the most important thing going forward. For anyone sticking around, any questions, please do get them in the chat, but if not, I will catch you all tomorrow bright and early.